I kicked the bedroom door open with a stupid grin on my face and a folder in my hand worth $10 million. Yeah, 10 million. My name is Mason Lowe. I'm 39. I live just outside Elk Grove, California. 1 week ago, I was pacing my driveway like a loser who just got fired from his job at Denton Fleet Repair after 12 loyal years. And today, I'd just signed the biggest tech licensing deal of my life. My routing software, the thing I'd been building in secret for 2 years, was now the backbone of the West Coast's second largest delivery company. I didn't just land on my feet, I stuck the damn landing. All I wanted was to see Lisa's face when I told her. I was gonna lay the folder right on the bed, flash that signature page and say, "Guess who's back on top, baby?" Instead, I walked in on her in our bed with Eric Caldwell. My ex-manager, the same smug bastard who fired me last week. And I don't mean I walked in on a mess of clothes or scrambled whispers. No. They were just lying there, sheets around their waists, calm as hell. Like this wasn't even their first time. Eric didn't flinch, didn't even blink. He just looked at me with that same arrogant smirk he wore the day he canned me. Lisa didn't scream or cover herself. She didn't even move. Her eyes hit mine, then flicked down to the folder in my hand. That's when I knew. They weren't caught. They were waiting. Quick note, before listening, share which city or country you're watching from. I didn't say a word. Couldn't. My whole body felt hollow, like I'd left my insides back at the front door. I dropped the folder. It hit the floor with a slap, papers spilling across the carpet like confetti at a funeral. The signature page slid right under Lisa's nightstand. She didn't look down. She didn't even sigh. She just stared at me and said, "You should have seen this coming." That broke something in me. Not the affair, not even Eric. It was her face, that cold blankness. Like I was the fool for not realizing what this was. I backed out of the room, heart hammering, mouth dry. Eric chuckled as I turned and walked out. I didn't slam the door. I didn't yell. I just kept walking. Out of the room, out of the house, into the kind of silence you don't come back from. I didn't even get 24 hours. The next evening, I got a text from Lisa's mom, Susan. "Dale would like to speak with you. Come by at 7. No question mark, no explanation. I already knew what it was. I almost didn't go. But I did. They lived in a gated community just outside Sacramento, on the kind of street where even the air felt expensive. Their country club home had a circular driveway, 2 white stone lions out front, and a front door tall enough to need its own zip code. I rang the bell, and Dale opened it himself, wearing a damn blazer in his own house. "Mason," he said, flat like it hurt to say my name. "Study." He didn't wait for me to follow, just walked off. I stepped inside, and Susan was already seated on a leather armchair, legs crossed, glass of white wine in her hand, like she was posing for a lifestyle magazine. The whole room smelled like cedar and old money. Dale pointed to the other chair. "Sit." I stayed standing. He sighed, glanced at Susan, then folded his hands together like he was addressing the board. "Lisa told us what happened. Frankly, I'm not surprised." Susan jumped in. "We tried to warn her. You never gave her the life she deserved." That hit harder than I expected. Not because it was new, because it wasn't. I'd heard this song before, the "Lisa married beneath her" chorus. They just never sang it so loud. Dale leaned forward. "You've been coasting for years, Mason. That little garage job, that wasn't a career. That was a holding pattern." I clenched my jaw. "I just landed a $10 million software deal." Susan's laugh cracked through the room like glass. "Oh, Mason, too little, too late. You think Lisa waited around all these years for a maybe? She wanted real security. You didn't provide that." Before I could answer, the door behind me creaked open. I turned. Lisa walked in, arm linked with Eric Caldwell, hand resting right on the small of his back like it belonged there. Eric looked fresh out of a magazine. Navy suit, smug face, like the place already belonged to him. Lisa smiled at her parents. "Hope we're not interrupting." Dale stood up. "Of course not. We were just discussing next steps." I looked at her. Really looked. Same woman I used to watch make French toast in an old t-shirt, now walking in like she ran the damn country club. Eric and I are partners now, she said, locking eyes with me. In every way. Eric gave me that same smirk from the bedroom. I didn't flinch, didn't give him the satisfaction. Dale cleared his throat like he was wrapping up a board meeting. We appreciate you coming, Mason. We hope you'll be respectful as Lisa moves forward. Susan added, with someone who matches her ambition. Lisa didn't even pretend to look sorry. She just tilted her head. This didn't happen to you, Mason. It happened because of you. That was it. I didn't say a damn word. I turned around and walked out. Didn't slam the door, didn't look back. I drove home with both hands tight on the wheel and a promise burning in my gut. They wanted me gone. Good. They just gave me the freedom to become someone they couldn't predict. I parked outside the rundown duplex I was renting in Stockton and just sat there for a while, engine off, hands still clenching the steering wheel like it might fight back. The place was cheap, close to the freeway, and smelled like cat piss no matter how many air fresheners I stuffed into the vents. It didn't matter. I wasn't there to build a home. I was there to disappear. The door creaked when I opened it. I stepped over a box of unopened mail and a stack of crumpled food containers on the floor. Chinese takeout again. Orange chicken this time. Cold. I didn't bother microwaving it. I sat on the stained couch and ate straight from the carton, eyes on the muted TV. Some commercial for car insurance played, and the irony almost made me laugh. I hadn't spoken to a real human being in 3 days. Not since walking out of Dale and Susan's house. Then my phone buzzed. Sophia Lynn. I stared at the screen. We'd gone to trade school together, back when I was still learning to write code between oil changes. She'd been one of the few people who didn't treat me like some washed-up blue-collar joke. She ran a tech consultancy in San Jose now. Smart, blunt, no patience for pity parties. I let it go to voicemail. 10 minutes later, she texted, if you don't pick up the next time I call, I'm driving there and kicking your ass in person. Then she called again. Yeah, I answered, voice dry as dust. Wow, he lives. Her voice cracked like lightning. You sound like you've been sleeping in a ditch. Close enough. Where are you? Somewhere off Hammer Lane. Why? I'm coming. I didn't invite you. Didn't ask. Click. 35 minutes later, she banged on my door. I opened it, and she stared me down like a pissed-off older sister. You look like hot garbage. You drove all this way to insult me? She stepped inside without waiting, looked around the room, took in the mess, the food, the half-dead plant in the corner. She picked up a fortune cookie wrapper and held it up like evidence. This is what rock bottom looks like, huh? Weak. Thanks for the support. She sat on the edge of the couch, crossed her arms. Tell me everything, now. I hesitated. Her eyes narrowed. You sulk, I leave. You talk, I help. I cracked. Told her about the firing, the software deal, the bedroom, Lisa's words, Eric's smug face, Dale's arrogance, all of it. No sugarcoating, just straight facts, one blow at a time. She didn't interrupt. When I finished, she leaned back and whistled low. Damn, that's not just betrayal, that's corporate sabotage wrapped in a soap opera. Yeah, and now I'm here, eating cold chow mein. She looked at me hard. You know what your problem is? You're acting like this is over. I stayed quiet. She pointed at me. They stole from you, they used you, and they did it thinking you'd just take it. I met her eyes. What am I supposed to do? She stood. Fight back. How? I've seen Caldwell's name on some shady filings before. I've got access. You've got receipts. We dig. You serious? Her jaw locked. Mason, they underestimated the wrong guy. You're not done. You're just getting started. I didn't sleep that night. Sophia didn't either. She set up camp at my tiny kitchen table with her laptop, a Red Bull, and a look on her face like she was about to storm a damn embassy. By morning, she said 4 words that changed everything. We need Victor Lane. She barely let me finish chewing a piece of reheated sesame chicken before pulling up his profile. No picture, just a wall of credentials. Corporate litigator, Sacramento-based, known for ripping execs apart in courtrooms like it was sport. I've worked with him twice, she said. He's brutal, honest, and expensive. But he wins. I shrugged. Then let's call him. An hour later, we were parked in a brutalist office building downtown, sitting across from a man who looked like he hadn't blinked since the recession. Victor Lane, black suit, no tie, wireframe glasses. Everything about him screamed, "Don't waste my time." Sophia did the talking. "This is Mason Lowe. They stole his software, fired him, and now they're prepping to patent it as their own." Victor opened a folder she handed him. "Names? Eric Caldwell, Lisa Lowe." He flipped a page. "Lisa Lowe, the wife." "Soon-to-be ex," I muttered. He looked up. "This the $10 million logistics software that just got licensed by AeroRoute?" "Yeah, built it myself. Took 2 years. Proprietary. Every line of code. Documented. Yep. Timestamps, version logs. Hard drives, whatever you want." He leaned back. "Let's get to work." For the next 3 weeks, it was all war room mode. We dug through everything. Emails, drives, old cloud backups. I forwarded him every scrap of work I'd done, all marked on nights and weekends, outside Denton's hours. Victor made a list of questions and didn't sugarcoat anything. "You want to win? You better stop thinking like an employee. Start thinking like a company." Sophia traced shell company filings. One popped up under the name Rivermap Solutions, LLC, registered in Nevada. "Guess who signed the Articles of Organization?" she said. I looked. Lisa Lowe and Eric Caldwell. "Those Hold that thought," she said. "It gets worse." She opened an email chain between Eric and a Denton accountant. Sophia had cracked into an old backup from Eric's cloud storage using his recycled password. Fleet King 87. Sophia scrolled through the chain, then froze. Got 'em. There were receipts, hotels, gift shops, even spa treatments. All booked through Denton's company credit card, logged as client meetings. 2 of the hotel stays lined up perfectly with weekends. Lisa claimed to be visiting her sister in Santa Cruz. Victor snapped the pages from the printer like he was counting bullets. "That's misuse of corporate funds. Fraud." He looked at me. "And you're sure they used your blueprints?" "Positive," Sophia nodded. "They duplicated his file structure line by line. Changed the header, that's it." I opened my laptop and showed him the original files. Git commits, time-stamped progress. Comments in the code only I would write. Victor cracked his knuckles. "We're filing for intellectual property theft, breach of contract, civil fraud, and injunctive relief. We'll freeze their assets if we can prove they're profiting off the stolen IP." "And what if Denton gets involved?" I asked. "They were using company money." Victor grinned for the first time. "Then we name them too." Sophia leaned forward. "You ready for this?" I nodded. I wasn't scared anymore. I was pissed. And now I had the right people in my corner. A cream-colored envelope showed up in my mailbox the day after Victor sent the first draft of the lawsuit. It was thick, expensive, embossed lettering. "You are cordially invited to celebrate the engagement of Lisa Marie Lowe and Eric Daniel Caldwell, hosted at the Silver Oak Country Club, Sacramento." I read it 3 times, front to back. No return address. No note. Just the invite and a punch to the gut. Sophia saw it sitting on my counter later that day. She picked it up, turned it over, and said, "They want you to see it. That's all this is." "Yeah," I said. "Which is exactly why I'm going." She blinked. "You serious?" Dead. So I rented the best suit I could find on short notice, charcoal gray. Still had the plastic clips on the cuffs when I got it. I trimmed my beard, polished my boots, and drove to the Silver Oak, feeling like I was walking into a gunfight with a rubber knife. The parking lot was packed. Mercedes, Teslas, BMWs. Not a single beat-up Ford like mine. Inside, the ballroom looked like a damn movie set. Crystal chandeliers, white lilies everywhere, champagne towers already half empty. Guests with Rolexes and country club tans whispered the moment I stepped through the door. I heard my name, then another. "That's him, Lisa's ex. Didn't he work at a garage or something? Poor guy, doesn't know when he's beat." I kept walking. Some caterer offered me champagne. I waved it off. My hands were sweating, but steady. I scanned the room, and there they were, Lisa and Eric. dead center, under the biggest chandelier, soaking up the spotlight. She wore a floor-length white dress like it was already a wedding. He was in a tailored navy suit, gold tie, cufflinks probably worth more than my car. They looked polished, too polished, like people playing pretend in front of mirrors. Lisa saw me first. Her eyes flicked past me like I was one of the waiters. Then she leaned into Eric's ear, whispering something that made him laugh. I stayed by the wall. I wasn't there to fight. I was there to watch. A guy with a headset tapped the mic and said, "Ladies and gentlemen, your attention please. Our couple would like to say a few words." Everyone clapped. Lisa stepped forward, smiling like she'd just won a crown. "I just want to say how grateful I am to be standing beside a man who lifts you higher, who doesn't settle, who doesn't make excuses." People chuckled. I didn't move. She raised her glass. "Here's to second chances, and the men smart enough to take them." The room clapped again. Eric stepped up next. "Lisa's been through a lot. She's stronger than people give her credit for, especially after what she had to put up with before." He looked right at me. "And now she's finally with someone who gets it, someone who builds, not just talks." The crowd laughed, loud, like a punchline landed perfectly. Then a voice cut through the room like a blade. "That's funny, Eric. I don't remember you building a damn thing." Everyone turned. Joshua Train, CEO of Arrow Route, the same man who signed my $10 million deal, navy suit, silver hair, power in every step. He walked straight to me, shook my hand like we'd known each other for years, and said loud enough for every person in the room to hear, "This man right here is the future of my company." The silence was instant. Champagne flutes froze mid-air. Forks paused. Even the music stopped. Eric's face dropped. Lisa's eyes went wide, lips parting, but no words coming out. Joshua didn't stop. "Mason Lowe wrote the software that's about to transform the West Coast delivery network. The same software your fiancé tried to pitch to me after Mason already had the deal locked." He turned toward Eric, face calm but sharp. "You remember that meeting, don't you? You brought me a copycat pitch and didn't even bother changing the interface. Real original," Eric stammered. I thought that was—" Joshua waved him off. "You thought wrong?" Lisa reached for Eric's arm, but he stepped back. "Just a hair, but I saw it." Joshua looked at me again. "I'll see you Monday at headquarters. We've got a big rollout coming." He clapped me on the shoulder and walked out like he owned the room. Because he did. I stood still. Everyone watched me like I just walked out of a burning building with the deed in my hand. Lisa's smile had vanished. Her hand was still hanging in the air, waiting for Eric to take it. He didn't. I gave her one look. No words, no smirk, just a long, cold stare. Then I walked out, slow, steady, and for the first time in weeks, standing a little taller. Victor's office smelled like old books and victory. We were back there the next morning, same table, same worn leather chairs. But this time, it wasn't just research and guesses. It was proof. Victor locked the door behind us and dropped a thick folder onto the table. "This," he said, "is where it all unravels." Sophia flipped open her laptop and spun it toward me. "You're gonna want to see this." She clicked open a folder labeled Internal Dump, RCLLC, and started scrolling through files faster than I could read. Eric used company cards from Denton to funnel money into Lisa's shell firm. Rivermap Solutions, hotel stays, gifts, cash withdrawals, even airline miles. It's all in here. I leaned in. "How do you know they weren't legit business expenses?" Sophia clicked again. "Because some of the charges were before they formed the company, months before, and they were logged as fleet maintenance conferences." Victor tapped the folder. "No such conferences exist on the dates listed. I checked. That's fraud." Sophia kept going, eyes sharp behind her glasses. "Also, Lisa's been spying on your prototype builds." I blinked. "What?" "She used your home Wi-Fi network. She mirrored your laptop with a remote viewer. Look." She opened a screenshot. One I didn't recognize. "This was taken 2 weeks before you demoed the beta. It's your interface." But it was logged from her MacBook. I clenched my fists. She was watching me code. More like stealing in real time. Victor opened the folder and pulled out a printed email. This one sealed it. He slid it across to me. Subject line, final push. Sender, Lisa Lowe. Drafted never sent. Body. Once we have the app under our names, we cut him out completely. He doesn't have the reach or the spine to fight back. I sat there for a second, staring at the screen. Cut him out completely. Victor tapped the table. This is conspiracy to commit fraud, IP theft, breach of fiduciary duty, and intentional misrepresentation. That's just what I can prove today. Sophia sat back, arms crossed. You still want to give them the benefit of the doubt? Not for a second. Victor pointed to a timeline pinned on the wall behind him. It stretched across 3 whiteboards, every event mapped out, from my software builds to their fake company formation, to the wire transfers, to the phony emails. These aren't just mistakes, Victor said. They built this lie, brick by brick. He circled 3 key dates. That's when they used your code. That's when they spent Denton's money. And this, he underlined one, is the weekend they filed the provisional patent. Under River Map, Victor nodded. They tried to get it in before your licensing deal with ArrowRoute went public. If they'd beat you to that, they would have sued you. My stomach turned. They weren't just planning to profit off me. They were planning to bury me. Sophia stood and paced. Victor's prepping the lawsuits now. Multiple fronts, IP theft, fraud, breach, corporate embezzlement, misappropriation, and cyber trespassing. Cyber trespassing's a thing? Yep, and she did it. Victor grabbed a pen. We'll file federal and civil cases in parallel. This won't be a quiet courtroom settlement. We go public. I raised an eyebrow. You sure that's the smart move? Not just smart, Victor said. It's necessary. You don't kill a roach in the dark. You stomp it in the kitchen. Sophia smiled at me. You know what I see when I look at all this? What? A woman who thought you'd break. A guy who thought he could steal your future and make it his own. She shut the laptop with a sharp click. They underestimated the wrong bastard. I didn't say anything. I didn't need to. The war had already started. Victor sent the process servers out at exactly 11:43 a.m. The brunch was in full swing by then. White tents, jazz band, Lisa Lowe Family Foundation, banners hanging like they meant something. They held it on the back lawn of the same country club where Lisa and Eric had thrown their engagement circus. Tables lined with fresh fruit, smoked salmon, mimosas flowing. Sacramento's rich and righteous crowd smiling and shaking hands, trying to out-donate each other. I didn't go. Didn't need to. Victor said, we don't do drama, we do service. So, we let the law walk right in. Sophia tracked it live from her tablet, sipping coffee in Victor's office like she was watching a game. There, she said, pointing at the screen. That's the guy, navy blazer, envelope in hand. A server approached Lisa first. Mid-convo, right as she was lifting a forkful of melon, he handed her the envelope and said clearly, Lisa Lowe, you've been served. According to Victor, she blinked twice and smiled like it was a joke. Then she opened it and froze. Across the lawn, another server reached Eric. He was halfway through a toast with some venture guy, glass in the air. The moment he read the first page, his hand dropped, then his face. Boom, Sophia muttered. Within seconds, the jazz band stopped. Someone dropped a fork. Lisa's mother, Susan, stood up and hissed something across the table. But it was Melissa, Lisa's younger sister, who lost it. She chucked her mimosa onto the table, glass shattering. Are you kidding me, Lisa? Reporters were already circling. We'd tipped off 3 outlets with just enough detail to make the scene worth covering. Federal lawsuits, IP theft, fraud. Not gossip, charges. Cameras clicked. Eric tried to reason with the server, holding the envelope like it was poison. This isn't official. You can't do this here. The guy shrugged. It is. I just did. Lisa looked around, eyes darting for exits. People were backing away from her like she'd started coughing blood. Victor refreshed his phone and raised an eyebrow. And now the media alert hits. Sophia opened Twitter and grinned. Trending in Northern California. Hashtag delivery deception. Screenshots flooded in. Lisa's name, Eric's email headers, payment logs, time stamps. the stuff we'd pre-packaged into a tight, controlled leak. My phone buzzed nonstop. Sophia's buzzed too. Denton's board. Out. Investors. Backing away. Regional Tech. Expo dropped Eric as panelist. All in real time. Victor looked up from his laptop. Welcome to the age of receipts. I got a call around 12:15. Lisa's dad, Dale Lowe. I almost let it go to voicemail. Almost. I answered on speaker. Mason. He sounded tired. Old. Smaller than he did when he was ordering me to be respectful in that leather chair. You've made your point, he said. Have I? You're burning everything down. I didn't light the match. Your daughter and her boyfriend did. Mason, please. She's still family. No, I said flatly. She's your family. I'm just the guy she tried to rob. A long pause. Then, click. Sophia looked at me, brows raised. You good? I slid my phone across the table. Never better. Victor stood and stretched like a man after a long nap. That's just phase one. Now we squeeze. I leaned back in the chair, watching the brunch dissolve on live feed. Lisa screaming at Eric, investors walking off, microphones shoved in their faces. They wanted a public life. We just gave them a public consequence. The courtroom felt colder than it looked, too bright, too quiet. That sterile tension, like the air itself, was holding its breath. Victor stood at the front, sleeves rolled up, tie loosened just enough to look dangerous. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, he said, pacing slow. This isn't just theft. It's betrayal wrapped in fraud, sold with a smile, and paid for with someone else's future. He walked them through everything. The timeline, the code base, the phony LLC, the hotel bills, the corporate cards, the patent application file behind my back, Lisa's draft email, Eric's embezzlement, every puzzle piece locked in, one after the other, until the picture was so clear it hurt to look at. Eric sat stiff in his chair, pale as drywall, jaw clenched, eyes dead ahead. Lisa wore a black dress like she was already mourning her reputation. She kept touching her necklace, over and over, like it might protect her. Joshua Train took the stand next, calm, confident, deadly. I met with Mr. Caldwell on 2 occasions, he said. Both times, he attempted to license software that my company had already reviewed under Mason Lowe's name. Caldwell presented nearly identical material, despite having no documented creation or testing history. I told him point blank, we're already working with the inventor. Victor smiled like he'd been waiting for that line all week. Lisa took the stand after. She dabbed her eyes like a stage actress, pausing between words like she was making sure everyone was watching. I didn't understand what Eric was doing, she said softly. He told me it was a business opportunity. She sniffled. I never meant to hurt anyone, especially Mason. Victor stepped forward, slid a printed email across the evidence table, and turned it toward the jury. Subject, final push. Victor read aloud. Once we have the app under our names, we cut him out completely. He doesn't have the reach or the spine to fight back. He didn't say anything else. He didn't need to. Lisa looked like she wanted the floor to swallow her. Eric's turn came. His lawyer tried to argue corporate pressure, miscommunication, blurred lines. Didn't matter. When Victor cross-examined, he pulled up the bank logs, line by line. 7,308 to the Napa Grand, 20,190 to Cartier, 4,775 at Wynn Las Vegas, logged as client development. Were these purchases for Denton's clients? Eric stayed silent. Victor leaned in. Or for Lisa Lowe? Silence. The jury didn't blink. The verdict came faster than I expected. Unanimous, all counts. Lisa buried her face in her hands and sobbed. Eric just stared at the wall, blinking like he still didn't believe this was happening. Then the judge spoke. Eric Daniel Caldwell, you are hereby sentenced to 4 years in federal custody and ordered to pay $400,000 in restitution. He didn't react, didn't even flinch. The judge turned to Lisa. Lisa Marie Lowe, you are sentenced to 2 years in state custody and ordered to pay $300,000 in damages to Mason Lowe. Lisa snapped up from her chair, mascara running, voice cracking. This isn't fair. He did this to me. Mason ruined everything. The bailiff moved. The judge's gavel came down. One more outburst and I'll add contempt. Lisa froze, jaw trembling, shoulders shaking. Then came the cherry on top. The judge flipped a page and addressed the gallery. Dale and Susan Lowe. Civil judgment in the amount of $100,000 for knowingly financing fraudulent business activities. Payable within 90 days or further penalties will apply. Dale's mouth fell open. Susan looked like someone had slapped her with her own checkbook. Victor packed his files calmly, like it was just another Tuesday. I stood, slow. Lisa looked over at me, rage, confusion, maybe even regret. But I didn't look away. She'd spent months trying to erase me, thought she'd rewrite the story without me in it. And now, here we were. Final chapter. I walked out without a word. The flash of cameras hit me the second the courthouse doors opened, but I didn't stop. Didn't need to say a thing. The truth already spoke louder than I ever could. 6 months later, I walked into the old sheet metal warehouse off Fremont Street that now had low-tech systems stenciled across the glass in sharp black font. The front doors used to squeal like hell when you opened them. Now they slid smooth and silent, motion-censored. Clean white walls, fresh steel beams, server racks, glass offices, and an espresso machine that looked more advanced than my first car. People looked up as I passed. Young, smart, hungry. Half of them in hoodies, the other half in button-downs. All of them here because of a stupid idea I almost threw in the trash during a fight with Lisa 2 years ago. Sophia waved from her office, phone to her ear, multitasking as usual. She was now officially the CTO. Her name was on every hiring doc, every tech rollout, every dev sprint. She'd earned every letter. Victor walked past a minute later. 3 folders tucked under one arm, nodding at 2 paralegals following behind him. His suit was more expensive now, his schedule tighter. But he still texted me every time a settlement offer came in. He hadn't accepted one yet. Joshua Train stood near the back of the auditorium stage, quietly checking his watch as the event crew mic'd the podium. The guy didn't say much, but he didn't need to. When a billionaire backs you publicly, people start answering your calls. This was the launch for Second Spark, our fund for builders who got burned. We'd gotten emails from all over the country, garage inventors, burned-out engineers, laid-off coders. The theme was always the same. They stole my work. What do I do now? That was why we built it. The auditorium was packed. 200 chairs, 3 camera crews, a live stream going out to every corner of tech Twitter and startup blogs. My palms were sweating. I stepped up to the mic. The crowd went quiet. I didn't have notes, didn't need them. They tried to bury me, I said. Now we're building something they can't touch. That was it. That was the whole speech. Applause hit fast, loud, real. Afterward, people lined up to talk, some just to say thank you. Others wanted to pitch. Sophia handled most of it. But then a girl, couldn't have been older than 23, stopped me near the side of the stage. Curly hair, sharp eyes, beat-up laptop case over her shoulder. "Name's Ruby," she said. "My uncle stole my design, filed the patent with his name on it, said I'd never prove it." I didn't ask for credentials, didn't ask for a pitch deck. "Let's see the files," I said. We sat on the floor near the stage stairs. She opened her laptop, pulled up logs, drafts, even a scanned notebook page from 2 years ago. It wasn't polished, but it was hers. Sophia came over, crouched down beside us, watching Ruby's screen. After a few minutes, Sophia looked up at me and said, "She's legit." Then she leaned in close and added, "Oh, and Low-Tech just closed another round." "How much?" $30 million. I nodded once. No smile, no big reaction. Just one clear answer. Let's build something better. The office was quiet by the time I finally stood up. Past midnight, most of the lights off except mine and the glow of the servers humming in the back. I walked over to the window. There I was, reflected in the glass, half shadowed by the city lights behind me. Same eyes, same frame, same calloused hands. But I wasn't the same. I looked like someone who'd been through fire and walked out still standing. Not bitter, not angry, just clear. I didn't think about Lisa with hate anymore. I thought about how much energy I wasted trying to please people who'd already made up their minds about me. Eric, He was never more than a mouth with a title, a coward who needed shortcuts because he couldn't build a damn thing on his own. My phone buzzed. Unknown number. I already knew. I opened the message. You win. Eric Caldwell. No apology, no explanation, just 2 words. I stared at it for 1 long second, then deleted it without replying. That chapter was over. I grabbed my jacket from the back of the chair and turned off the desk lamp. My shoulders didn't feel heavy anymore, just ready. Phone buzzed again. Sophia. Tomorrow, big pitch, be ready. I smiled, tired but solid. Because now, it wasn't about payback. That part was already done. Now it was about building something they couldn't touch, something bigger than revenge, something with a future. I stepped out into the cold, zipped my jacket, and pulled the door shut behind me. The night air hit my face sharp and clean, and for the first time in a long damn while, I felt free.